Hey everybody, it's me, the Bear Quilter. All right, welcome back to my very messy sewing room. So I got notified that the live that I had done on Saturday and posted up to YouTube has actually been blocked out because of copyright infringement. So when I went and looked, I was playing music in the background, and that music ended up flagging the copyright infringement. So I'm going to take some time and try to kind of recreate what we did on that live so everybody has a good go-to reference. So we are going to be making blocks A and B from the Burst Quilt Along. So if you don't have that pattern, you can totally go to the link in my bio, grab that pattern from the very first link in my link tree, download it, and we are working on week 1 of the Quilt Along. All right, so I am going to use this beautiful Tula Pink Minerals fabric, and I am using a black fairy flake as my background. All right, so I've already prepped my fabrics, which for me means that I have starched them and I have used a lot of heat and steam to make them nice and pressed. That also has the added benefit of kind of pre-shrinking the fabric a little bit so that as I'm working and cutting and pressing, if I end up using any steam later on, it won't shrink the fabric even more. So those are the things that I've done. Let's take a look and see how we're going to do this. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is line my fabric up here. I'm just lining up the selvage edges, and we are going to kind of trim off a little bit of this short edge. So I'm going to get my trusty Creative Grids ruler here, and we're going to give this a quick trim just to get a nice clean edge on this side. And then I'm going to flip it around. And on this clean edge, we are going to cut off an 8-inch strip. And while we're here, we might as well cut 2. And we're just going to leave these fabrics right sides together this whole time, because that's going to make it easiest to do what we need to do. All right, and I'm going to turn these here, and I'm going to trim off one edge over here to get myself a nice clean edge on my 8-inch strips. And then we'll cut 8-inch blocks out. And so we have some scrap left over. I'm going to put these off to the side. Again, I may end up using these later for something, maybe for this quilt, maybe for a different quilt, but we're going to put those aside. Throw our really small scraps away. And now I have 4 sets here for block A and block B. So I'll need 2 for block A and 2 for block B. And I am going to draw on the back of my fabrics here a diagonal line, just from one corner to the other corner. And we're just going to do that on all 4 of these while we're here. And then we'll go over to the machine. And I'm just using a ballpoint pen. I'm going to cut on this line, and I'm not super duper concerned about the ballpoint pen bleeding or anything. So that's what I use. But you could use a sew line or a chalk pencil or anything like that that makes it work. All right, so we are at our machine, And we are going to go ahead and run just about a quarter of an inch. Now, whenever I do half square triangles like this, um, I'm not going to lie, like my piecing is not perfect. So I sew, when I do these two at a time half square triangles, I sew this at a scant quarter of an inch, which is really just a thread or two less than a quarter of an inch. And the reason for that is because when I cut them apart, um, I am more likely to get the size that I want, which is going to be a 7.5 inch half square triangle. So I sew it at just under a quarter of an inch. Really, really just a thread's worth or so. And you can chain piece these to your heart's content, or you can do them one at a time, whichever works for you. All right, now that we've sewn these together, we're going to go back over to the uh, cutting table, and I'm going to cut these apart, and we're going to make half square triangles out of them. All right, so let's go ahead and cut these apart, and we will make some half square triangles, and then we will finish up making the burst blocks. Now, I love this pattern for two reasons. The first one is that it's super duper versatile. It's also really a very beginner friendly pattern. It works based on making half square triangles and using strip piecing to put everything together. And that excites me and excites a lot of people who are new to quilting. You can also do this. You can also do this in many different sizes. So the size that is in the pattern is a throw size. However, I can totally see this in a king or queen or full size. And to do it, you're just going to keep adding blocks and rows, and that will expand it right out. It's super easy. You can also add borders if you like. And I'm just using a seam roller to roll out my seams right now. Um, but I may take these over to my iron and press them. I won't film that. I won't make you watch me pressing them. All right, so these are all pressed. I'm going to trim them to 7.5 inches. All right. So now we're going to take our half square triangles, and I'm just going to arrange them into my burst pattern. So we sew these, I'll move this. So we sew these just like this, right? So they're going to get sewn along the colored edge together. So I'll fold it over like that, and we're going to sew them together. And again, I need 4 half square triangles to make one burst block. And I have enough half square triangles out of this fat quarter set to make 2 blocks. So we're going to make one of block A and one of block B. And again, we're just going to go through and chain piece these. I'm not going to stop in between because we're just making these units. And let's do it. All right, so now that these are sewn together, I'm going to go ahead and press these open. I do recommend pressing this seam open. You don't have to, but it will make the burst block go together better if you press this center seam open. This is really the only seam that I think has to be pressed open. But I am going to go ahead and press these open. I'll give these a good finger press first and then press them open, and I will meet you back at the cutting table. All right, so we have 4 of these all pressed out. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to separate these. We are going to take our handy dandy 8.5 by 24-inch ruler. You do not need an 8.5 by 24-inch ruler. However, I do love it. So if you are looking for one, this Creative Grids one is amazing. But we're going to take this 8.5 by 24-inch ruler, and I am going to cut these two 14.5 by 7.5-inch blocks into 2.5-inch strips this way. And you are going to get 3 strips at 2.5 inches out of each of these units, and they're going to look just like that. We're going to do the same thing to this one. And then once you have those, it's time to start arranging these. So we're going to do this, right? So we have both of these. I am going to take this and flip it this way, backwards. And second one, we're going to flip backwards, just like that. And this third one will flip backwards, just like that. And then on this one, I'm going to move this to the center, and then I'm going to move this to just outside of that. And then that end piece is just going to go right there. And I'm going to sew all of these strips together at my scant 1/4 inch. So I'm going to pick them up strip by strip and stack them in the order within which I want to sew. For the burst block B, we're going to do something very similar, except this time, instead of a 2.5-inch strip, burst block B is going to be cut into 1.5-inch strips. So using my trusty ruler, we're going to cut 5 1.5-inch strips out of each of these units. And then we'll arrange this burst. So again, we're going to take this side and flip it this way, and flip. And I will meet you over at the machine. Let's sew our A block together first. So we're going to sew it together just like this. So we want to make sure that the widest part of this is going towards the outside this way on this first section. And we'll sew it together at a scant 1/4 inch. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching the video through. This was blocks A and B for the burst quilt along. If you are interested and have not gotten your patterns yet, please go to the link in my bio, download the patterns, and you can make a beautiful quilt like this. Or go ahead and just follow me over on Coffee if you are interested in seeing anything else that I am working on. All right, the next live on TikTok will be on Saturday, February 17th at 7 p.m. sharp Eastern time. Please join us. Have fun, even if you're not joining the quilt along and you just want to hang out. We're all just kind of hanging out, having a good time, and learning how to do more burst quilt along things. All right, thanks guys. Bye.